welcome back to Taking Action, Making Connections. I'm your host, Annie, and I'm joined here today with our plumbing expert, Austin. Austin, how are you today?
I'm actually doing excellent today. I really appreciate the question. I'm just glad to be here. I don't know if I'd call myself an expert, but we're going to do our best to answer all your questions today.
Well, thank you anyways, non-expert Austin.
Absolutely.
Today, we're going to be doing a plumber reacts section. So I have a list of videos here, and we're going to go through them, and we're just going to get your honest reaction to all of them, okay?
Cool, let's get into it. I'm excited.
Perfect. Okay, so here is our first one.
TikTok, I love it. So you know it's going to be interesting. Sorry, that was so fast.
You
When
wanna
your
watch it
husband
again?
insists on saving money and not hiring a plumber. Holy smokes, this guy.
How does that make you feel?
Well, it just makes me feel bad for the guy. Like, it's really not that big a deal. And honestly, most of the times, I get that you want to save money on your projects. And here at Action, we really care about our customers. Call us and I will tell you how to shut your water off so you don't flood your house like that. Like, that's amazing.
I feel like that's the first step to any DIY plumbing project is shut your water off.
Like, shut your water off. And if you don't know how, seriously, call us. And you know what I say? Because I take these calls all the time where, hey, I got a guy here, I'm trying to do a project, or my cousin is a handyman and he's trying to do this for me. Where can he start? I will take the 5 minutes to say, hey, this is where your water shutoff should be. If you can't find it there, try this area. And you know what? If you still can't find it, call me back. And at the end of the day, we don't charge to come out to give you a free estimate. And I will come personally show you, this is where your water shutoff's at.
Make sure to shut it off.
Yeah, and then it's like, it's such a good value to you. And honestly, we give such good deals. We have so many great coupons out there and specials. I'll just take care of it for you, and I'm going to give you an amazing deal on it too. So these type of videos just break my heart because I've been there. I've made that mistake one too many times. And I'll tell you, becoming an expert requires a fair amount of these mistakes to happen. And then eventually you learn, okay, there's a right way to do it. And sometimes, yes, you have to bite the bullet. But honestly, give me a call, buddy. Like, I want to send this guy a message. I don't have TikTok. Can you send messages on TikTok? Okay, send this guy a message. Call Action next time, please. Save your wife and your kids the hassle of having to restore all that flooding damage that you just did.
Yeah, it's so much hard wood to just replace all of it.
Everything. Wood, paint, drywall, whole 9 yards.
The whole ceiling in that bathroom.
Yeah, the ceiling, the floor, the cabinets. It's just like, oh my gosh, what is going on here?
You're spending 10 times more because you didn't call a
You
plumber.
didn't call Action, right?
Exactly.
Jeez Louise.
Okay, here's our next one.
Wonderful music, by the way.
So how was that plumbing?
Oh my gosh, that's...
Do you want to watch it again?
Please, because I'm really confused here. Oh my gosh. We have so many things happening here on this one. It's just amazing. Number one, I love plumbing. I look at it every single day. But as much as I love it, I do not want it to be exposed in the walls of my house. Oh man. The other thing is that it's running right over an outlet.
Oh no.
What happens if there's a disconnection on that pipe, because obviously this person is not a professional, and it starts spraying an outlet that's not protected against water?
Well, that's an electrical and a plumbing problem at that point.
Thankfully, we have both departments in-house here at Action. Like, thankfully, that is a thing, and we can take care of you guys. Please call us. But holy smokes, I mean, aesthetically, obviously, not great. Okay. His connections, they actually look pretty good. Like, good tight connections. I didn't see anything there as far as like something coming apart. But running over an outlet and then in, it's just like, oh my gosh.
The safety there.
That man or that woman does not have a spouse, because I'll tell you, my spouse would not accept that. I don't think my kids would accept that.
Well, and that's in front of a washer and dryer. And if you have those cords growing across the wall, how are you going to put your washer and dryer into place?
Yeah, you can end up causing damage, poking holes, spraying not just that outlet, but your brand new appliances, right? Because obviously they're doing remodeling. The drywall looked amazing, right? They've got that nice little box in there and some, I like to call it custom plumbing work. Very custom. When I go into people's houses, I don't want to insult them. I want to make them feel good. And so instead of saying, hey, this is terrible, I say, hey, that's a custom job. Usually you pay more for those.
Really?
Especially in the long run. Yeah.
Especially in the long run. I do see that
Yeah.
portion of it.
You pay more for a custom job because you do it the cheap way once, which was custom, then to pay to get it done the right way takes more work, takes more time, and you've already caused more damage to your house.
Exactly. And then you have to pay for restoration, new electrical work, new plumbing work,
Yeah.
new hardwood floors.
Let's get it
New
done the right way
drywall
the first
again.
time, and let's get you the best warranty in the entire Salt Lake Valley here at Action.
That makes sense.
Great. Let's take a look at another one.
Do you want to watch that one again?
Let's just start by asking you, Annie, if this work was done in your house, how would you feel about it?
It looks dirty. It's all over the place. It looks like patchwork almost.
Oh, absolutely. Like you have old being mixed with new, you've got glue running down the pipes, right? And just a bunch of terrible things. Now, how much food particle actually gets into your kitchen sink whenever you're like washing your dishes?
Well, my kitchen sink, I mean, tons. I cook chicken constantly. I cook eggs constantly.
Right.
Don't worry, I don't put eggshells down my disposal.
Okay.
But I do, like, I have to rinse my dishes because my dishwasher isn't
Yeah.
100%, so a lot.
And as conscious as we are, as good as we try and do, and trust me, even at my house, like a lot more stuff goes into those drains than should, right? And
You're bad
well,
yourself.
I'm bad myself, yes. Well, let me tell you, I have a wife and 4 kids, and so there's
They're bad.
a lot of things outside of my control in the house. Okay, trust me. The main purpose of the plumbing underneath a kitchen sink, a bathroom sink, or anything like that isn't just to take water down and out. It's the ability to actually remove the drain by this little threaded thing, right? You remove it out and you're able to clean it. Because so much food particle goes down there, grease goes down there. We don't realize how much like lotions and oils are in the soaps that we use. And that creates grease and buildup in there as well. And so the ability to clean out your P-traps is important.
Okay.
So when you're together forever, because you're glued all together, it's not great. It's not a good install. I truly feel this person was a professional at sprinklers, because those are typical that PVC pipe is meant for sprinklers. I would hire that guy for my sprinklers. Like whoever he is, he did a great job on that.
For sprinklers.
For sprinklers, but we're not talking sprinklers. We're talking drains that get dirty, that get nasty, and need to be serviced and cleaned. This is going to lead to major blockages and having to cut and destroy and smells and just huge inconveniences and potentially damage to your house. So we definitely don't want those pipes together forever. We need them to be able to be separated.
But that song's really good.
The song was amazing.
Okay,
I
should we
love
listen
the
to that
song choice.
again?
Yes, please. Let's listen one more time. Just great. I mean,
I'm just gonna look up that song when I get home. Really, I think that was pretty good. Yeah, no, way too much glue. Don't glue a P-trap together.
don't glue it
That's
together.
really good to know.
If it's leaking,
Call
don't let it
someone.
glue. Call someone.
Okay.
Call Action. We'll get you taken care of. This problem can be fixed, by the way. Not too expensive. Pretty simple. We can get it done.
It can be fixed.
Oh yeah, it can.
You just have to cut it all out.
The majority, yeah. You just got to cut it all out and restart. But that's the great thing about the type of pipe that goes underneath your sink. It's actually very simple to work with, very inexpensive, and it doesn't require a master plumber to come out. So the guy that we're sending there, he can have a lower level of skill set,
Which means you're paying less.
which means you're paying a little bit less for labor. You're getting less expensive materials. You're still getting the same wonderful warranty because we're using the materials that are required, right? It's just one of those things. Again, very simple fix, very inexpensive.
Was that the wrong type of piping?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that
Okay.
piping was not meant to be inside that house like that. That's a very, like I said, that guy was a great sprinkler guy. He can do the heck out
Not
of
a plumber.
sprinklers, but not a traditional plumber. No, definitely not.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Let's move into our next one here.
Get it in there, bro. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good one.
No,
Oh. If I dropped my phone in there, I'd actually just buy a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's shy.
Is that? It is.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
It's bad. It's bad. I can physically smell it right now because I've been in this situation several times.
No.
It does not smell good. It's bad.
Why have you been in that situation? What has happened there?
So this is a customer's sewer line, right? You have this 4-inch clay pipe that is breaking somehow, allowing maybe roots to grow into it, or the connections are no longer here. They're doing something like this, and it's clogged up so bad that the normal way that we get rid of those clogs, right? Cables or snakes or even jetters, if you've heard of that, isn't working. And so at this point, we have to dig. And thankfully, these guys have the tools to find exactly where the pipe's at, exactly where they need to dig. And when you do that, you have to be very careful because the pipe is now pressurized with 100 feet of sewer water, which is a mix of a few things that I won't discuss the exact words, but it is not clean.
That's
it is not
so
good.
awful.
Yeah, and that's why it's called gray water. It came out that nasty, nasty gray color. It's a mix of food.
You don't have to go into
Okay,
it.
perfect. There's a bunch of
Yep.
things mixing in there. And so that big pressurized line, right, as he starts poking that hole, it just all starts seeping out really nasty, really thick.
Well, thank goodness he could get out of there quickly.
Yeah, and it's one of the hardest jobs of our dig crews that go out. And we have several dig crews. We have tractors and machinery and everything in house. And so we actually give people the best pricing on this kind of job as well. And I know I sound like a broken record, but also the best warranties on it. And that's because we're specialists in this. This is what we do day in and day out. We have one guy, he's not just a plumber for everything. His job is a camera supervisor. He's a plumber dedicated to this problem. And so he becomes a specialist at knowing how to treat these issues, whether it can be unclogged, whether it has to be excavated. So he comes to your house, runs a camera down your sewer, finds the issues. A lot of times in this case, you wouldn't see anything. We got to dig it up, and it is not great. The good news is that once you've dug that hole, right, you have, let's say, 100-foot line after that. Once you've dug it, you don't have to spend the money to dig the rest of it to make sure this doesn't happen again. Usually you can do non-traditional methods called liners. And I shouldn't say non-traditional because it's been around for a long time now. And we've been doing it successfully for a very long time. And so a liner is essentially a pipe inside of another pipe. And it fixes this problem throughout everywhere else. So you dig one little hole, get all that nasty stuff out of there, fix the pipe, and then from that little hole, we're able to fix everything else.
So I've seen liner videos.
Uh-huh.
They were a trend on TikTok, a couple of years ago.
Okay, that's cool.
And they're like that satisfying thing where you're shooting the blue tube, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That looks like fun. That does not look
Yeah,
like
well,
fun.
that's how that starts.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
This one would not be trending for sure.
No.
There's nothing satisfactory about that video.
No.
Yeah, but it is a very tough job, and it's something that requires licensing and permits and inspections from the city and all these things that we do to give you, again, best warranty, best fix, never have to deal with this again. You deal with this once, now imagine that coming into your house.
Have you seen that?
By the time people have called us with this problem, it's only because it's come into their house.
So what are the warning signs predating it coming to your house?
So you could have some smaller clogs, right? Let's say your downstairs toilet has a problem flushing. Okay, that's a sign that there could be a bigger issue down the road. Also, we have these floor drains in our basements. If you have a basement, there's a little floor drain at the bottom of the floor next to usually your washroom or next to your water heater. And that floor drain, you can start to see little particles on top, little white pieces of paper. That's toilet paper. The water will come up and then it'll go back down. It's hiding from you. And so when we go into these houses, especially our camera technicians, They're trained to look for all these different clues that there could be a bigger problem. We find something, we run the camera, and we see, hey, this pipe is broken, it's starting to clog. Pretty soon it's going to be really bad. And typically speaking, it's not a single point, but it's a long section. Because once it builds up enough pressure, right, it should push through. But when that problem gets really long, no more. It won't push through anymore.
And it pushes the opposite way.
It pushes the opposite way. Water follows the path of least resistance. If it's down, that's what we hope for. Sometimes it's up though. And where does it come up? Inside of your house. So we want to avoid that at all costs. And another good thing is part of our membership, right? We give people memberships with us that come with a whole list of great services that are extremely valuable to you. One of those is a free camera inspection on your house every single year.
There you go.
So as your pipes age, as things get, worse, we're able to come in and say, hey, here's a problem that's developing, and here's what's going to happen. Let's avoid that issue. Okay, I need to send this video to my plumber. So this is like a training video here that we're watching for something going on. Cool, I'm excited. All right.
It's like a little worm. I love these videos.
Yeah.
I used to like doom scroll these videos just to
So
watch
funny.
liners. It's just so satisfying. Okay, that's crazy that actually just like expands like that.
Yeah, so this is called a cure-in-place liner, right? It's a fiberglass material that's saturated with two-part epoxy, and then that's when the clock starts ticking, okay? So epoxy is hardened with heat. So it's like 100 degrees outside, then you better move fast to get that liner in the pipe, otherwise it'll harden before it's completely pushed through.
Ooh.
Yeah, if it's during winter, it could take forever to harden because it's so cold outside, right? And so these cure-in-place liners, what they're doing is instead of having to dig up the entire sewer line, you're able to dig one small hole and then push that liner all the way through the entire line and effectively replace the entire sewer. You get a whole brand new pipe.
So what happens if you're coming from a hole where there's been like a break and down the line there's another one? I'm assuming you can't shoot a liner.
Great question. So it depends on the severity of the break.
Okay.
So the rule of thumb is it's about 1 inch. So if there's a break in the line and a separation about 1 inch, the liner should be able to go over that and seal up that crack. Okay. And then it'll never have an issue again after that. If it's anything beyond that, then at that point, you cannot use a liner. You have to dig it up again.
You have to go to another hole.
The hardest part when we're communicating with people is talking about fixing breaks versus preventing breaks, right? And most people understand, hey, when something's completely broken, I need to fix it. But the one thing we have to realize is that that one break in that pipe, right, is a certain type of material, it's a certain age, and the rest of your sewer line is exactly the same. And so if this year it broke here, now that that's fixed, next year it's gonna break here, maybe here down the line too. And so the way to prevent that from ever happening, once we fix that one spot, is to push this liner all the way through it.
So one part of that video, they gave kind of a top-down view from another pipe that came into it. How do you open that hole back up?
So there's a couple ways. So there's actually a technique where whenever you're setting out your liner material, you're able to pre-cut a hole into it, so that when you push it through, you already have that space built in. That way is very complicated, and it takes a crew with a lot of experience to do that. We have guys that can do that, just so you know, okay? The other way is once you push it through, you come in with a drill through the top and cut a hole into it.
One of those hole things that you put on a drill.
Kind of, yeah. It's a version of that. That way is actually a little bit tougher because it tends to break the drills.
Oh.
This stuff is not meant to be cut or to break We give a lifetime warranty, a full lifetime warranty on parts and labor with these liners, right?
Okay.
And so it's not designed to be cut like that.
Okay.
So when you try and do it, the tools sometimes have issues, but it just, again, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of hard work. It is possible. Typically speaking, what we do instead of trying to add those holes back in is we'll create new ones where we do that repair. And this way you still have access to your sewer with no problems.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, wonderful. I wish jobs were this easy because this pipe is outside of the ground. Imagine being in a 6 to 9 foot hole, which is the average depth of sewers in Utah, about 6 to 9 feet, all the way down there in the depths of despair trying to push a liner through. It's pretty difficult.
I can only assume. And so this one, they showed them cutting off the end caps.
Yeah.
How would you do that if you're shooting a line all the way down? Like, I'm assuming it opens itself up at some point?
Yeah, great question. So absolutely, on the far end, it will open itself up. And even if it's a little bit long, we have, again, another tool that's designed to go inside the liner and cut the ends out. And then on our side, so in the hole, you'll have direct access to the liner. So at that point, you just trim
cut
it
that
straight.
part off.
Yeah.
It's just that side of the line. Okay. Well, I mean, it's cool. It's fun. It's satisfying. I love that.
Pretty cool.
I didn't know it was epoxy.
Yeah, epoxy and fiberglass. Yeah, very cool. Very strong materials.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Would you like to watch that one again?
Please.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
So what is that?
First off, this guy's quite the character.
Oh, have you never watched him before?
I don't
He's
have
great.
TikTok.
No, it's not TikTok. He's not TikTok specific. I think he has stuff on, I think it's on Hulu.
Is it?
It might be on Netflix. Anyways, it's just, he does ridiculous skits and stuff.
Sure.
And one of the things was he was interviewing after he got fired and they were like, we're firing you for this reason. And that clip specifically is, you sure about that? You sure that's why? You sure about, anyways, I love that.
So I like that guy too already. I don't know who he is, but I'll figure that part out. At the end of the day, what you have is underneath the sink, right? We're looking at some pipes. You have this flexible, weird pipe that's coming down and connecting on. There's no P-trap. It's literally coming down and over. One of the main purposes of a P-trap, and if you look under your sink, it looks more like a U shape, right? Where it comes down and then comes back up and then out. That is a gas trap. So drains need two things to function properly. They need slope, so they need to be able to go downhill, and they need air. There has to be airflow. And if you think about when you put a straw inside of a glass of water, if you cover one end and pull it out, what happens? It barely drips out. If anything, sometimes you can't even get water to come out. You release your thumb or you allow air into that little pipe, it flows right out. So allowing water to go down also allows gases to come up. And what that little P-trap does is it stops those nasty sewer gases from coming up into your home.
So it stops the smell,
It stops the smell.
which none of us want.
None of us want, except for this guy. This guy wants the smell in his house for some reason.
Clearly.
And so, I mean, that was one of the things I noticed. There was a few other things going on. It was a little hard to see with the guy's face in front of everything, but not a great situation. That would create a very smelly situation.
Clearly not a licensed plumber.
Clearly not a licensed plumber. But no license at all. Can't even drive a car on that one.
What are you doing?
Huh? Me? Just hanging around.
What was the caption there when the homeowner? Oh,
Here,
gosh.
we'll start it again.
Yes, please.
Hmm?
What are you doing?
Huh? Me? Just hanging around.
When the homeowner sees your mistake, oh my gosh. He had pipes everywhere, he had glue everywhere. Oh man. One of the things, and there's a gentleman that we work with, his name is Alex, and one of the things that he taught me early on was to be organized. So you want to have all your parts and pieces, you want to have everything set and ready, and you want to be able to visualize the job that you're doing so that as you're building it, you're not guessing. right? You don't use more materials than you have to. It cuts down on waste, it cuts down on time. So we're able to save you guys money, give you better deals for these projects, right? And so having all your tools and all your materials all laid out, very unorganized. Number one, it costs more materials, costs more in time. Then it costs more in mistakes. He spilt the purple stuff all over the floor, like holy smokes.
I'm assuming it's not very easy to clean up either.
It's not. No, it's not. And a lot of these things die and it's just over at that point. But, yeah. So very unfortunate. Maybe he didn't have a good mentor to tell him, hey, like I did, keep your stuff organized, lay it all out, create a plan, visualize it, and then follow that plan.
Yeah.
If you do that, it makes life so much easier.
It's not just about planning, it's also about follow through.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, it's also about follow through. And you don't just cut something out without knowing how to put it back together.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this seemed like. You just cut it all out and said, hey, let's see what happens. Well, what happens is a mess and a mistake, and you called the cheap guy to come do it for you. But now you're gonna have to pay a little bit more to have a professional come out and fix it.
That's just too bad.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Me? Just hanging around. Here's our next one. You ever had that happen to you?
Did you choose this one because of the action dog? Is that why?
I love the dog.
Oh, that's so funny. That nervous look, like, oh my gosh, something is happening. Oh gosh. I think we've all felt that way before. You know, as much as we try, the moment of truth is when you restore water back.
Oh no.
You turn the valve and you're like, oh my gosh, is that going to work? The great thing is about having a team and having people of different experience levels is that when something like this happens, we don't have to be surprised. We're here planning. Every time I'm with someone on a job and we're restoring water, I'll be on the cell phone. We'll have them on speakerphone. Okay, turn the valve on. We'll turn it on. Is it leaking? Wait, not yet. Hold on just another minute. And then we'll wait and we'll see. Okay, it's not leaking. Great. And then we'll go back and then we'll finish things up. And so we give ourselves some time to make sure that we're not going to leave something that's leaking. As much as we care, as much as we try, we're not perfect, but that's just so funny. It's like, oh, that nervous look on that dog and the homeowner and like, oh, what's going on here? Usually communication helps solve those problems, even if something is leaking. If you're prepared for that, which we all should be because it can happen, then it's able to be handled quickly and safely.
Hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Exactly, yep.
I like it. So same audio. I think I know what's wrong in this one.
Okay, let's hear it.
There's no access to the pipes underneath, which means again with the P-trap that you are supposed to be able to unscrew and fix, you can't.
Exactly, yeah. You had an overzealous tile guy who did an amazing job. Beautiful tile.
The tile was great.
It's too good. He did too good a
You
job.
can't do anything with that.
You can't. Yeah, you have to have access, right? You have to be able to turn water off. Obviously, what happens if something starts leaking in there?
Yeah,
You'll never know
yeah.
until... And if it is on a bottom floor, you'll never know until so much damage has happened that water's coming out of the wall or you start smelling mold, right? So if it is upstairs, you'll start getting flooding downstairs. At that point, you're destroying all that beautiful brand new tile. And
Yeah.
It's like, oh gosh.
And you just have to. I mean, there's no choice at that point but to
choice.
destroy the tile. For that person even, there's no choice but to destroy that
I
tile.
don't even know how something like this happens. But obviously the producer, he likes his dogs and he likes his music. He keeps it consistent, which is awesome.
So you like the dogs and the
I do
music.
like the dogs, yeah.
Confused dogs. It's a meme that's been going around. Do you not use social media?
I don't. I'm so old. Like It wasn't a thing back when I was a young guy, and so I
It's a
never got
huge
into it.
meme.
No, I know my dad has a Facebook, and he's like,
You don't have a Facebook?
not anymore. No,
Oh,
I should get back into it.
I mean, it might be good not to have it. There's a whole social media craze. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's watch the next video.
I'm not sure I'm interested in that. No, I am sure. I am not interested in that.
What does that mean?
So, did you see the words up on that video? It talked about push connections.
What's a push connection?
So a push connection, I like to call it a temporary connection. So you're taking a pipe that's holding 70 pounds of pressure of water, which is a lot of pressure. And the type of connector you have connecting it to another pipe or to a fixture literally just pushes on. That's it. You shove it in, and that's supposed to hold it forever.
No.
It really doesn't. That it'll hold it for a while. What happens is it wears down over time with pressure and with corrosion, and they tend to separate. I've seen them go, and I've seen ones that just maybe they had a manufacturer defect, go very quickly. I've seen other ones take about 5 to 7 years. Typically, the maximum life you'll get out of one of those connections is 10 years. We see them a lot on houses that have been flipped because they're looking for a fast way to connect it. Those connections cost like 10 to 20 times more expensive than the ones that professionals use, right? And so you'll get a handyman making some connection that should be done by a licensed plumber, required to be done by a licensed plumber, and he's using a temporary connector instead of using a material that when you put the pipe in, it's required to crimp it down even more, or required to like weld it with a solder if it's two copper pipes come together, right? And those ones are forever connections. They're designed to last as long as that pipe will last. They're not designed to last any less. And so if you have a 50-year pipe like copper, when you solder it, that's a 50-year connection.
50 years.
Yeah, versus who knows how long it'll last. Those push connectors, they're not our favorite thing to see. It means that things were done cheaply, and we tend to find even worse problems because it was done by a non-professional, and now we start doing some digging, and oh no, there's some more things going on. So if you see those in your house, give us a call. Another part of that membership is a free plumbing safety inspection. We'll come out and inspect your entire house from top to bottom, and if we find one of those things, we'll let you know where it's at. And hopefully we don't find any, right? We're not looking for problems, but we want to make sure you guys are safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Obviously, don't go and do that.
Now, you do whatever you like.
We can't condone anything of the sort.
We can't live.
What?
It's a very animated, the guy on there is pretty animated. So what we have here is the exhaust on a water heater,
Okay.
okay? So that pipe that comes up from the water heater carries carbon monoxide from inside your house to outside. And if we know anything about carbon monoxide, it's a poison, right? It's not good for you. It leads to a lot of bad things. And worst case scenario, it can send you to the hospital. And so we want to make sure that that pipe above it is the proper material. Now, there are high efficiency appliances and there are low efficiency appliances. A low efficiency appliance will create a lot of heat. And as it's coming out, it will melt any non-metal materials. And so they attached a plastic pipe to a low efficiency appliance, which then started to melt it. And if you have a melted pipe, carbon monoxide is now leaking into your home.
And that's deadly.
And that's deadly, right? Potentially deadly. In most cases, it takes a while to get there. But still, you don't want any potential deadly. I mean, how much poison do you put into your cup of coffee in the morning or into your sandwich, right? Typically 0. You try
Yeah,
and put
that's
0.
the goal, you know? Who really
0
knows?
tolerance, right? But as far as that goes, yeah, if you like to live on the wild side, sure. A little bit of poison, but no, we definitely don't want that.
Yeah.
Now, if it was a tankless water heater, a plastic pipe would be perfectly appropriate. That's what it's meant to do because it's such a high efficiency appliance. Instead of creating heat, it creates condensation. And so if you have metal and water, well, now that's a bad mix because that creates corrosion. So you have a plastic pipe to carry the water back out.
So someone used the wrong pipe on the wrong kind of water heater.
Exactly. They're both the right materials, just not together.
Not together.
They have to be on different things, yeah. So
That makes
in that case,
sense.
we have to have a metal vent instead of that plastic one. or get rid of that old water heater and upgrade it to something really nice. Yeah, so it was a good idea, just the wrong execution.
Terrible execution.
Terrible execution.
Plumbers and drain cleaners are not going to want you to know this, but if you have a backed up shower like this, you certainly don't need to call them out because what I'm about to show you is 10 times better than a drain cleaning cable. Using the drain cleaning cable is definitely not as effective as using the shop vac, especially if you have a 6.5 horsepower. This vacuum, unlike your traditional drain cleaning cable, extracts everything, the main clog and all of the biofilm as well, literally removing everything inside of that shower drain. Once you're completed, turn the hot water on, test it, and you can see how well it's flowing now. Let me take you inside the vacuum and show you how effective it is, the amount we pulled out.
You know, I love this type of person who automatically expects the worst out of someone. What's pretty funny is that I bet you he learned that trick from a plumber. Because we don't just use one tool. We use a bunch of different tools. And vacuuming out gunk from a drain is absolutely one of the first things we do. The one thing that the vacuum doesn't do is 20 feet down the line if there's an issue. How does it get that?
It doesn't.
It can't. It cannot build up enough pressure because there's airflow in those pipes. If it was a sealed pipe, zero airflow, he could create enough pressure to pull out things farther down the line, but you can't do that. So at the end of the day, we use that tool, we use that trick. It's not some hidden thing. I'm glad he's showing a video of it because we love to educate our homeowners, right? But no, yeah, that's a good one. It cleans it up very nice, but we would still run our traditional drain cleaning equipment down the line because he's leaving things further down that he can't get to.
Yeah, which are just going to cause the same backups in the future. And
Yeah.
at that point, you know, you keep vacuuming it out and it's just not working anymore.
Yeah. I bet you that guy was a plumber himself, just showing everyone the trick, trying to seem like something different, but it's cool. I love the good tricks and tips because that's something that's a big part of our membership. We actually do a free drain clean with our membership. We'll come out and we'll do that same drain clean for free. We'll clean it all out and we'll clean out further down the pipe as well for you too.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a free one too.
A free one, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
What was that?
I'm scared to ask myself. So
Maybe the comments?
yeah, so this is basically a drain cleaner, right? It's potentially an enzyme cleaner. Now, the one thing I will tell you is I do not like to, okay, Zep Crystal Heat drain cleaner crystals. Okay, I don't like to be a chemist inside of our piping. Heat is not good on drains, especially thin plastic drains. Like that can be very, very bad.
Yeah, we just saw the water heater.
Yeah, we just saw that, right? Heat and that plastic does not combine. Now, I will tell you this, and I have something to admit here, Annie, and I'm very sorry. But before I was a plumber, before I knew better, I lived in this apartment complex. Very young guy, young family, right? And we had an issue with one of our drains going slow. And so we poured so much liquid drain cleaner down it, and it was every day. I got a whole bunch of free from someone who didn't need it anymore. I was like, oh yeah, that's perfect. Kept pouring it down over the next couple of weeks. Started clearing the drain. The drain started working better. Then we started getting the smell, this weird, nasty smell. And so we called up the landlord. They sent a maintenance guy over. Turns out we had melted a hole in our drains, and our water was now draining into a crawl space underneath our apartment. And they had to come in with a truck and pump out all the nastiness underneath there. And it was terrible.
That sounds awful.
It was terrible. And that's a worst case scenario, but it happened to myself. And so I actually have pretty strong feelings against these type of drain cleaners. With properly flowing pipes, they work great. But whenever you have a clogged pipe, you're potentially going to be burning a hole into it. right? And if it's old metal pipes, you're going to cause them to corrode extremely fast. And so we definitely do not suggest that. If you're having a recurring clogging issue, we ask you to call us for a camera inspection, right? We'll come out, we'll clean it for free, we will camera the line for free, and we'll be able to come up with a real solution that doesn't involve you, draining all this nasty stuff into your crawl space, because I've learned that lesson. I don't want you to have to learn that lesson.
No, you've learned the lesson the hard way, too,
Yeah.
not even the easy
That
way.
was before I had anyone that could tell me. Yeah, we don't want you to have to.
Did you
do
end
that.
up having to pay for the replacements?
That was a tricky situation, but they recognized that maybe things weren't the best, and so they were very great to work with.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.